Hey guys, it's Harleywood. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen most, if not all of these. Every once in a while I post a picture when I'm enjoying a drink, and typically it's a single malt scotch. There are a few variations over here that I'll get to. And it's funny because I enjoy some of the most expensive whiskeys. Not some of the most, but I enjoy fairly expensive whiskeys. But some of the cheapest beer, as you've probably seen over the past year or so in the fridge there. I've tried IPAs and double IPAs and sour beers and all this kind of foo-foo-y stuff, and I can't get into it. I'll enjoy a good Guinness every now and then, but that's about as tough as my beer choices get. You know, make fun of me in the comments, post whatever you will. I've heard it all. But when it comes to my whiskeys, I do tend to enjoy some of the finer ones. At least I think so. You know, I don't have anything here that's $1,000 or even half that. But I enjoy a single malt scotch typically, and a few variations that I'll get to over here on the left. And when I post these on Instagram, a lot of times people will ask me, well, what's your favorite? And it's funny. I feel like it keeps changing as my experience with these changes, or as I get bored with one, something else kind of takes the spot. So let's go over these one by one, and I'll kind of tell you what I like about it, or some of them that I don't like about them. All right, the first one that I'm going to show you here is not a single malt scotch. It is a whiskey. And I got this actually for my 40th birthday. I think it's Michter's is how you pronounce it. It is a Kentucky straight bourbon. They also make a rye and a couple other things, one they call an American whiskey. And I'm not too terribly versed in what the difference is between an American whiskey and a Kentucky bourbon. Somebody post in the comments if you want to help me out there. But this is really good. And as soon as I opened it up as a gift on my 40th birthday, and it was a coworker of mine's fiance who bought it for me, and I immediately poured he and I a drink, and I was like, wow, this is really good. So I've actually been through a few bottles of this, and typically if I get a lot of liquor bottles for gifts, and if I don't like them, obviously I don't buy more of them. Next up is Johnnie Walker. This is the double black. I typically try to keep a bottle of this in the house because it is my father-in-law's favorite drink, and so when everybody comes over for holidays and stuff like that, he'll usually enjoy a drink with me. This is a blended scotch, and everything else I'm going to go through here is a single malt. Now, one of my favorites, and it's funny because it's on the cheaper end of the ones I'm going to show you here, is this Dalwhinnie single malt 15-year. This is really good. It has kind of a fruit finish to it, and I believe it's only $65, something like that, depending on where you get it. I want to say I even found it for like $60 one time. But this is really, really good. So if you're trying to get into single malt scotches and you don't like all that smoky flavor, this may be the route you want to go. So on that same note, my current favorite is this Glenmorangie A Star. And the reason this is my favorite, you're going to see a theme here between my two favorites, is this one has what they call a pear and syrup finish. So it's sweet and fruity, and I like that. It really has a good finish to it. So this is one of my current favorites, and this is usually $100, give or take a few, depending on where you shop. Next up, and unfortunately one of my least favorites, I actually got this as a gift from a client for doing some work for them, and it's a fairly expensive. I believe this is $120, something like that, but the Glenfiddich 18. It has a cinnamon finish though, and even outside of whiskey, I just don't like cinnamon. And so for me, this is not my favorite, but when people come over for holidays, this tends to be one of the ones that people really enjoy. I think it's just the cinnamon for me that ruins it. The next one here is this Macallan 15, and I want to say my wife got this for me for Christmas one year or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. It may have been a birthday, and this is the one that I take little bits of every now and then. I believe this is $150, somewhere around there, and really, really smooth finish. Macallan has a very, very good name in the single malt scotch industry, so I think a lot of people start somewhere in their whiskeys, and they all hit one of these at some point because this is very, very popular. And the most expensive one in my in my arsenal is this Macallan 18. And again, the wife got this for me. If that one was for my birthday, then this was for Christmas, or vice versa, I can't remember. This one was about $250. And I was actually kind of shocked because I probably wouldn't have even bought that for myself at that price point. It's funny, I buy stuff for $250 all the time. Half the stuff you guys see me review costs that or 4 or 5 times that. But I was never willing to spend that on a whiskey. Well, my wife, kind of blessed me with this. This is really good, and I've had it for quite a while, and you can see I barely put a dent in it because I feel like every time you're drinking it, it's a $30 pour that you've got going on there. So this is really good. Again, a very smooth finish. Definitely something in its price point that people usually have to work up to, or is something very special like it is for me. And forgive me for the sniffles. I've been fighting a cold. And so I'm going to go ahead and get some medicine for that. But as I mentioned, I drink some of the cheapest beer, and I don't know why, it just kind of evolved that way. And every time I taste this specifically, it reminds me of my grandfather. Even as a little boy, my grandfather used to drink this. So when I smell it or taste it, it's just Grandpa. So anyway, that's it, guys. Just a little bit more about me. This is what do I drink. I drink expensive whiskey and cheap beer. I think that's a country song, or beer for my horses, whiskey for my men, or something like that. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button below. Got lots more to come, and we'll see you in the next one.